It's about unboxing the real you and connecting with your inner senses. And I have a special guest who's live streaming from Dubai. It's her evening time, so she's like ready for us. Let me introduce you to her. Having trained as a holistic therapist and named 3 times as one of the best 100 psychics in the world for nearly 30 years, she has been helping a global outreach of clients. She is also a highly successful internet presence as a life coach, columnist, and online intuitive life mentor. She is an intuitive life mentor who helps you restart or ignite your life into greater creativity and joy, connecting you with your inner senses. Please welcome my guest, Sahar Huneidi Palmer. Hi, Sahar.
Hi, Natalie. So good to see you. It's been such a long time. We haven't seen each other.
I know. I think like the first time like we were trying to figure out before the show, it was like 10, 15 years ago that we're interacted. Actually,
Yes.
I contacted Sahar years ago and she would read my coffee cup.
Yes.
But I mean,
yes.
like she was not just reading a coffee cup. She was going really beyond. And we could see that she had like that intuitive psychic abilities. And she also helped a lot of my friends in the process. So now you even develop yourself. So let's start from the beginning. You know, you're professional psychic. How did you do the switch from professional psychic to life mentoring?
Okay, first of all, let me say thank you. It's a great pleasure of mine to be on your show. I am so impressed with your success. I know you throughout the years, and then to suddenly hear you're in New York and you have this amazing show, it really thrills me. So thank you, Natalie. And I'm so impressed with all this technology.
Well, guys, in case you want to know, Sahar predicted all this for me. She predicted my book. She predicted like that I was in the public eye. And I was like, damn, she's right.
Well, I mean, you know me as a psychic. I worked as a professional psychic for many, many years, and my clients still are absolutely great. They took everything seriously. They kept asking me, when do I come for the next reading? And I always said, come when things have happened, because the idea is to guide people, but not to get them hooked on getting psychic readings. So they would come back, even, male executives. I mean, they would come back with the paper, because I always say, listen to your reading. Sometimes when you have a reading, you don't expect to hear what you need to hear. You want to hear what you want to hear. So you miss a few points. But when you listen to it later, over the years even, things begin to happen. So they would come back and say, okay, tick, this has happened. This cross, this has not happened. Why hasn't it happened? And the why hasn't it happened increased, and they became more and more that I really had to ask myself, because most people think the coffee or the tarot is a predictive tool, but it really isn't. It's a self-development tool, because you can only say the bright picture, but you don't know when it happens, because the person who controls the timing is you. So I had to ask myself those questions. How do we make things happen? What controls timing, or what dictates timing? What do we need to do to make this happen? So I went through self-development myself. I went through a 4-year holistic therapy course where I was practicing as a holistic therapist. And then recently, a couple of years ago or so, I brought all of that under one umbrella that I call Unbox Mentoring. So people kept coming back, but they really didn't want the predictive stuff. They really wanted to learn how they can make things happen for themselves. And I think it's so empowering when you know nothing is pre-written in stone. So what you hear in a prediction is a probable future. But if you do nothing, nothing will happen. It will just be a fantastic reading.
Exactly.
And that's the angle that I became passionate about.
Yeah, a lot of people, they said, if my future tells me that I'm going to be successful, so I can just sit and watch TV and wait to be successful. Exactly. So what is the difference? Explain us, like the difference in the similarity, basically.
Between?
I mean, like for the fact that it's not because you say that they're going to be successful in life.
Yeah, it's the basic law of motion. Every action has an equal reaction. So if you don't do anything, you don't build up the momentum, you don't cause anything to happen. So it's cause and effect. So if you sit there waiting for the lottery to happen, well, it could not. But in the meantime, you've wasted time instead of actually living your life. So it is about action. It is about clearing your intention. What is it that I want to do? What is it that I want to achieve? And why? What is your motivation? And if you align these three, you will not lose track of who you are. Because what happens as we achieve some goals and we have some success, our core values will change. You know, maybe it's not about working 24 hours a day. Maybe it's not about piling the money. Maybe I want to be happy. You know, you teach people how to be happy. So happiness became a core value. We want that feeling of fulfillment. You know, I mean something. I have an impact. My life has a purpose. And then as we grow, as our awareness grows, then we become aware that there's a bigger purpose to our lives. We can play a bigger role. And I think all of us as humans strive to do that, strive to express and understand, how do we fit in this big picture? Why am I here? What is my purpose?
Yeah. So this, you take all this and you created this program called Unboxing, and you even have Unbox Academy. So how do you, I mean, what I love fascinating is that you use your abilities to go deeper in one person, because like people, like there are a lot of coaches out there, holistic coaches, they can kind of have an idea about their clients out, you know, like whatever the client gives. You see what the client doesn't tell you as well. There's no escape.
You have a feeling, because, you know, I also did healing. We did bioenergetic healing as part of the holistic therapy. So you can see auras, you can feel somebody's in different ways, but you tune into them. And when you tune, you get a feeling of what is the underlying issue. For example, I had a client who could not figure out what is it that she wants to do in life. So there was a yearning, you know, how do I find my own unique expression? We sorted that out, but in the process, I realized there was something amiss in her marriage. It wasn't a bad marriage, but they weren't communicating anymore, as what happens with most couples. You know, they kind of like sit back and life takes over and they forget to keep nurturing their relationship. So I hinted at that and she said, no, it's not an issue. But when we scratched beyond the surface, it was an issue. So sometimes what you don't think holds you back, and unless you come out of the box and face it, it's always going to come back and hit you, always, because, you know, these things don't disappear. It's part of who you are. So it may go for a while and then it will swing back when you least expect it, and you have to deal with it.
Yeah, it makes sense. So let's say I'm coming to you as a client, as a patient. How it works? Like, I'm going to come to you, you're going to first do a prediction. Like, tell us like the steps that you go through to, you know, like your style of life mentoring, basically.
Yes, I have an assessment, an online assessment. If you are unhappy or unsatisfied, with any area of your life, when you answer the assessment, I will know why. I can tell what issue or what aspect of you is out of alignment, what I call out of alignment. And then we have a 40-minute discovery session, which is absolutely complimentary. And we try and figure out, expand on your answers. And then by then, I know how your mentoring program will go. So we can schedule the right package for you, you know, be a few sessions or extended sessions. And then we go through that. In the session, I always start by tuning in, and I can tell whether a person has made progress or not and where they are stuck. And then we address that. It's a very interactive process. I also teach them the right tools, because what really interests me is to get somebody on their feet, not to have them come back again, because what you want to do is empower people, not make them feel, oh, unless I see her, I don't know what to do with my life. That I feel is not empowering. And I get really happy when somebody, you know, takes the stuff in their hands and they can really manage their life. So that's the process. I also do what I call life readings, because sometimes people need to step back and see the big picture. And when I do a life reading, which is a long-term reading, so you only need one a year. And, you know, some of my clients come back, especially the ones who know me for some time, they come back and they have some on the new year or on their birthday to kind of see what the general trends are. And sometimes when we see the big picture, intuitively, it allows us to zero in, know what our priorities are, and then where do we begin from? So that way you never get lost, you never get imprisoned in a box that you think, oh, I can't do that. You know, what is my purpose? I'm bored now. You know, especially as we